this kind of high price, it sends a signal to other game developers. I mean, just imagine what Rockstar Games is thinking right now. Wait, you can do that? Nintendo is a company that is very consistent, but not in a way that you think. Every second console from them is successful, but that also means that every other second console is not so successful. I mean, look at the GameCube, it just completely flopped. And then came the Wii, which was such a big success. And we all know what happened afterwards. And then there was the Switch, and it basically broke the PlayStation 2 record, but Sony was like, no, Nintendo, we know how to play this game, and you cannot beat us. So if you look at this trend, it is very easy to predict that the Switch 2, yeah, it doesn't look so good for the Switch 2. But it looks like Nintendo is breaking their curse. Nintendo did everything right. They didn't repeat the mistake from the Wii U. They named the Switch 2 actually Switch 2, which is a very good name because it really makes clear what the Switch 2 is. Because a lot of people didn't know that this actually was a new console. And the presentation of the Switch 2, they added 4K to the Switch 2. They gave us finally a new Mario Kart game, which is so incredible. I mean, I just made an entire video about how amazing it is, and I'm definitely standing by this, even though there are some stupid things about it. So it really looked like the Switch 2 would be a huge success. So Nintendo had to step in and mess everything up. Wait, what? Guys, look, first of all, just some real talk. We are going to be talking about some very stupid things that Nintendo is doing in this video, and we have all the rights in the world to be angry at them. And I love Nintendo so much, and that's why it hurts so much to talk about all of these things. But we need to be serious for a moment, because what the actual... The question is, where shall we start? Because I mean, those are our issues. And look, I will not talk about everything in this video because right now we are literally at a point where you just read a headline and you're like, oh, the next stupid Nintendo news coming out. But let's start with something positive. A lot of people talk about the price of the console itself, and it is not too much.
Let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something!
Because the Switch 2 is much more powerful, and it can definitely play some PS5 games, at least on PS4 level, which is a huge thing in a portable form. And these kind of graphics, they cost some money, and I think the console price itself is okay, but the game prices, that's where the problem starts. Look, I was just thinking the entire time that it's not a huge problem that a new Mario Kart game costs a little bit more. I mean, at the moment, you can still buy the new Mario Kart game together with the Switch 2, which is a very good price and a deal, but this is a very much limited time offer, and we all know that they are gonna sell the game for full price very soon. Even though it seems like it's not so much more, it still is a very emotional barrier, especially that in some places the physical game costs all the way up to $90 and the digital game costs $80. The problem really is Nintendo gets away with these things. And I mean, we already showed Nintendo in the past that we are willing to pay a lot of money for some games. If you look at some of the recent Nintendo games and how much they actually cost with the DLC and how many people actually bought this, we basically showed Nintendo that we were willing to pay this much for a game, and now they're just gonna charge us this much for a base game. And I know they really said very clearly that the price is warranted by the size of the game, and this is not about Mario Kart World, because this game looks very good, but it's a bit stupid when you tell us that there's gonna be a direct that will show us very clearly why the higher price is warranted, and then we don't hear anything new in the direct. Yeah, that was kind of on you for boosting the hype for the direct, and that was really a point where I started to feel a little bit disappointed. The other thing is, this kind of high price, it sends a signal to other game developers. But in all seriousness, it already shows in the market that game prices in general are rising, because we are just accepting it now. Yeah, this is really a stupid thing which I don't support. I mean, the DS and 3DS games, I got all of them for 40 bucks a piece, and now it's more than double the price. And if you look at it from this perspective, I definitely see the problem. And also, if you look at the entire world right now with our situation, I can definitely understand that prices are a very emotional thing. The other problem I have with this topic is Nintendo's willing to raise the prices for some of the games where they say, well, we put so much effort into it, and yes, they have been developing Mario Kart World since 2017, and yes, it is really a huge thing, but then please make low effort games cheaper, which they are not doing. A Pokemon game where they clearly didn't put in any effort should not be this expensive. And then also, there's another problem with the prices, which are all the accessories. Let's just say you get a Switch 2 with Mario Kart World, and then you add a Pro Controller, and then you add some extra Joy-Cons, and then you add a webcam, and yeah, that's actually already almost at PS5 Pro levels of prices. The other point is, the Switch 2 Pro controller is very similar to the Switch 1 Pro controller, but it is more expensive. The PS5 controller has more features in it than a Switch Pro controller, but the Switch 2 Pro controller is even more expensive than a PS5 controller. And that frustrates me. And then of course, I mean, there are products like an officially licensed webcam which is just 480p. Yes, they are serious about this. And then there's just another example which I also think just goes way too far, which is they are re-releasing Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2, and I just have to be very clear about it. This game is so incredible that I will not forget it for the rest of my life, and it is something that I think everyone in the entire world should experience. But why will you re-release the game for full price and not include the DLC? I thought it was an unwritten rule that every time you re-release a game that has DLC, you include the DLC in it, but apparently Nintendo just says, no, we just don't do it. I think that's just too far. At least make the game cheaper, okay? It really seems like there's the company Nintendo, and then there are the game developers. And speaking of games, let's just look at the PS5 again. I could hold the PS5 into the screen, but I'm just too lazy to unplug it. Let's look at the PS5 again. I mean, with the PS5, we have an entire tutorial game included, which is incredible. And the full game version of this game even won Game of the Year. And Nintendo with the original Wii included a game that became so big and was such a huge success and still holds the record for one of the most sold video games ever, because they literally included it with every single Wii console. What do they do for the Switch 2? They literally charge you for the tutorial game. I mean, they already did it with the Switch 1, because 1 to Switch basically was the same kind of game. And I never got it because I was so angry that you had to pay so much money for it. But I just don't understand their logic. This is something that just shows you how the console works. And it seems like they put some effort into it, but it just has no use if you have to pay extra for it. Like, who is gonna do that? I'm not an example. I bought a 3DS on the first day and also the Wii U when it came out. I mean, those are just decisions which I don't understand at all. I guess it was still a good time when we had all of the 3 amazing software on the 3DS. I literally got my 3DS and I spent hours on the first days with the augmented reality games and with face radars. I was obsessed with this free included software. And Nintendo, you have such a big potential for all of this. But anyway, I mean, Nintendo is still evolving. Now they include a button which basically just opens their own version of Discord, and you have to pay eventually to use this button. And that really shows in what kind of state Nintendo is in right now. Think about it. There will be a button on the console and on the Pro controller where you have to pay to use it. But guys, we're not done yet. There are also some rumors that are quite concerning. One of them is that we will still have peer-to-peer multiplayer on the new Mario Kart game. How, Nintendo? How are you gonna make this work with 24 players? The multiplayer right now is already so stupid. We don't have dedicated server even though we pay them money to use online. I could somehow understand it when online was still free before, but now we already have to pay for online for such a long time and they still don't give us dedicated servers. And if this is not gonna change with the Switch 2, how are we gonna play proper online multiplayer with Mario Kart World? And that would be very sad because I think the multiplayer aspect of this game is so amazing. It is the open world which you can explore with other people. You can play hide and seek in this world. You can come up with your own games and everything. But if the multiplayer doesn't work properly, well, I guess we then have to just meet with people and just do it locally. But yeah. But anyway, we don't know for sure yet. And one of the most ridiculous things that I heard, where I just couldn't believe it, Nintendo is actually threatening to break your console when you dare to modify your console. I mean, where should I start with this? You buy hardware and it belongs to you. And I think we should all agree that we can do with our hardware what we want if we buy it. Fortunately, in Europe, we at least have some laws which definitely prevent Nintendo from turning your Switch 2 into electrical trash if you do something with it, but not everywhere in the world. And this is a kind of trend which I just find so insane. Yeah, I just think it's very problematic that Nintendo is being so escalative against any kind of emulators and modifications of the systems. But I guess they just try very hard to be yes about it. I just think that's not how you treat your own fans. But then of course there's also the entire chaos with all the different kind of Switch games and how they are released and all of these game key cards, and there are definitely some physical games where there is only the license to download the game on the card. And with this I also see a problem, because at one point the servers will shut down and then you cannot use these old physical games anymore. Those are a lot of things that really annoy me with the Switch 2. And on the other side, I think a lot of the people that are very annoyed about all of this are the kind of people that would anyway buy the Switch 2. And it really depends on the wider public whether the console is successful or not. It is very difficult to predict, but I still think that Nintendo did enough right that the Switch 2 will be a big success, even if they do a lot of things where they don't necessarily deserve it. But they are very good at making amazing games, and I'm also so thankful that they made hybrid consoles so popular. It just makes me sad when they do stupid things, and I hope they will do better in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video.